All right, what's up, everybody? Happy New Year. It's BQ and TW, as usual, with the Cool Factor podcast here at the Impact Lounge, YouTube channel, and podcasting networks. We're recording this in the middle of the day on
New Year's Eve.
12/31. So
Yeah.
my assumption is that this show is going to come out on New Year's Day. If it comes out on today, then forget the Happy New Year. That's for tomorrow. But it is the last day of 2021. This is the Cool Factor, the worst podcast you will ever listen to. Actually, no. You know what the worst podcast is? Have you ever heard Vicky Guerrero's podcast?
No.
She is the
And I don't
worst
blame you.
interviewer I've ever heard.
He's pretty bad.
And I don't even consider myself a wonderful, amazing podcaster, but like she stinks. So I was like, whoo. But
you listen to her podcast.
What's that?
What made you listen to her podcast?
Because I wanted to hear some of the people she was interviewing.
Okay.
Mainly, she did an interview with Taya.
Okay.
That's the one I really listened to, and I was like,
Yeah.
she is so. She clearly read a book on podcasting. Was like, go to Wikipedia, ask cookie cutter questions.
Yeah.
Have no knowledge about. She's like, okay, so you were the TNA Knockouts champion. She's like, well, the Impact Knockouts champion. You know, it's so silly. But so welcome, guys. As always, what we're doing with this episode is here is that we're doing our own end of the year awards. I know that Impact did theirs recently. I didn't watch those episodes. I haven't hid the fact that I don't watch their year end episodes. I don't really care to, if I'm being brutally honest with you. So I have an idea of some of the awards they give, and the other ones I don't have a clue at all. Did you watch them? Are you into that?
I did. I watched them. I thought they were good because they, it was basically like Josh Matthews and
Shocking.
Scott D'Amore, like sitting by like a fireplace set, and he was just sitting down, like just talking about. They were talking about each thing as they were getting to the award, but they also sliced in some storyline stuff. Like they had like it would have like let's say they were talking about Deanna, they would cut to a promo by her and Kimberly. And just a little something to, if you're watching, keep the storyline getting forwarded, and also, give you the year and award. So I thought it was actually pretty well done.
Okay, cool. They weren't playing like best of 2020 matches and shit.
They absolutely were. They so like if there was like, oh, let's look back at this great match, there was some of that, or let's look back at this great moment from this person. There was definitely a lot of that. So they would, so you could actually get some wrestling in the show. But yeah, I thought that like adding the current stuff in, I thought that was actually really good, for exactly what you said, so people don't just tune out and say, hey, there's no reason for me watching this stuff. I watched it all when it happened, and I don't particularly care about the awards. So, so adding in some current stuff, actually just, keeps the storyline flowing.
All right, I can dig that. I can dig that. My assumption was that it was going to be just a bunch of matches that I already watched, and I had no interest in that. So, okay, I'm glad to hear that. So, we got a few awards we're going to get into. This is just our personal. We discussed this. There are personal awards here for the channel. They're not prestigious. They mean absolutely nothing. But we're still having some fun with it, and we had some fun with the titles as well of these awards. So let's get into the first one. Do you want to announce what this one is?
Yes, the first one is the AJ Styles Face of the Franchise Award. This is the award given by our distinguished panel to the person who best represented the brand this year. And the first nominee is going to be Sami Callihan. Sami Callihan, he was a champion leading into Hard to Kill, and he was key in making Tessa a believable option for a champion. Who else? Who would you like to nominate?
So Eddie Edwards is going to be the next one. What's great about Eddie Edwards compared to most of the people in the company's history, he's never left. He's I think they tested the waters at NXT for a cup of coffee, but Eddie's never left. He's embraced being one of the face of Impact Wrestling. When he won the title at Slammiversary, he was able to bring some stability to a title that had no stability for the past couple champions. They weren't fighting champions. Like he was a fighting champion for a little bit. I wasn't really a big fan of how his open challenge, played out, but he was a fighting champion. So, that is all needless to say. Eddie's just brought a lot of stability and over the years.
All right. So the next person I'm going to nominate is going to be America's sweetheart, Tessa Blanchard. She made history this year by being the first world champion who's a female. She brought a lot of press to Impact Wrestling. Some of it was negative. Towards the end, most of it was negative. But in some cases, press is still press. And this is a brand that's been dying for buzz. So you have to recognize her contribution. And she deserves consideration for the AJ Styles Face of the Franchise Award.
All right. Even though she's not still with the company anymore, she was a big part of the company this year in 2020. It feels like forever ago that she was around, but she was a big part of the company this year. And the final one is going to be Moose, the legend known as Moose. He holds a TNA championship, and there's some people to feel like he shouldn't be holding it. Some people don't care. Some people like that he's holding it. Here's the deal. He holds this title for a reason. He brings not just anyone can hold this title. Like Fallah Bahh can't walk around, I'm the TNA world champion. You know what I mean?
It would be a joke.
Right. Moose is one of the few who can actually get away with carrying it because there is a lineage, there is prestige to it. So he has enough legitimacy and relevance to walk around and hold this thing and not, discount the history of the championship. And even though he didn't do a whole lot of wrestling in 2020, and in all honesty, his character work, has just been going up all year.
I agree. He forwarded some major storylines too, even when he wasn't wrestling. All right, and the winner is Eddie Edwards. Eddie Edwards, congratulations, Eddie.
All right.
We're going to send you a $5 Starbucks gift card to, or maybe Dunkin' Donuts, depending on where you live, or maybe Sheetz gas station, whatever.
There we go.
And to celebrate this award from the Impact Lounge.
All right. So
the next award is going to be the Gail Kim Knockout of the Year award. Pretty self-explanatory. And the first nominee is my boo, my secret boo.
Oh, Lord.
Taya. Listen, Taya started off the year as Knockouts champ. Her character work has been phenomenal. She's done everything. She can be a bad guy. She can be a good guy. And I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, but when Tessa Blanchard was the world champion, Taya actually kicked her game up to another level. And in my opinion, the time that Tessa Blanchard had the world championship, Taya was the best woman in Impact Wrestling. And I thought she took that as a personal challenge. She said, I think she looked at that and said, hey, if she can be presented as a world champion, why can't I? I'm better than her. And she was better than her. And so to me, I think Taya absolutely deserves consideration for the Gail Kim Knockout of the Year award.
All right. So the next one we got is Jordynne Grace. Now, Jordynne Grace, when the company first signed her, I thought she was way too vanilla to be on television. I really, truly did. All I really knew about her was that she eliminated Brian Cage at the All In Battle Royal. And other than that, I just saw her as a power lifter. And I was like, she's got no character to her whatsoever. But she's really come a long way, really shown a lot of improvement. Not that she was ever green or anything like that, but I just didn't think she was a television character, but she's shown a whole lot of improvement. And she's carried the Knockouts division as far as being the baby face of the division. The division is almost all heels or all tweeners, basically, where you don't even know where they stand, like Havoc, But as far as a clear-cut babyface, she's really, really carried the division. She took the title off Taya Valkyrie, who was the longest reigning knockout champion. She got the title from her. And then she had a couple matches with Deonna Purrazzo that were just out of this world. So, hard to think about this award without thinking about Jordynne Grace.
All right. And my next nominee is going to be as you mentioned, Deonna Purrazzo. Listen, she came over to Impact and made waves. She was a big free agent signing. She left NXT upon her own request, and she had some quality matches on WWE television, and so she brought a buzz with her, which again is an invaluable thing if you're Impact Wrestling. She's in her short time there been a 2-time Knockouts champion, and she's had the best Knockouts matches of the year, her 2 matches with Jordynne Grace. So, it's undeniable that she should be considered for the Gail Kim Knockout of the Year award.
All right, and the final nominee that we have is Kylie Rae. So she's not really a part of the company right now. Obviously, we hope that she does return. She was a huge free agent signing for the company. Really the biggest free agent signing of the year, in my opinion. I know that there's the Good Brothers, but that was different. They were released from a company and they were available. Like Kylie probably had other options. She probably could have signed with any company, and she actually chose to come to Impact. Yeah. So it was a huge signing for them. And then she did what I think they were trying to achieve with Allie for a long time, as far as character work, but her in-ring work is a lot better than Allie's. So, much respect to Allie, but Kylie Rae is so athletic, so great in the ring. And, she was the ultimate baby face, even though she was the ultimate white baby face, kids liked her, adults liked her. Like, she wasn't cheesy. Like she brought humor, but she was so good in the ring that you're able to, kind of forget about all the super smiley stuff. We were robbed of, not for anyone's fault, but I'm just saying as fans, we didn't get the opportunity, I should say, to see her versus Deonna, which everyone was in agreement. I think that was going to steal the show at Bound for Glory, probably even be match of the year. We talk about Deonna and Jordan, like this match here would have been off the charts.
Yeah, go back and look up my rant going into in our Bound for Glory preview. I was so excited for this match, but I digress. We love you, Kylie. Hope to see you soon. Anyway, and the winner is the virtuosa, Deonna Purrazzo. Listen, she cleaned up in the actual Impact Wrestling Awards, and so it makes sense that she cleans up here too. For all the reasons we listed earlier, Deonna Purrazzo wins the Gail Kim Knockout of the Year award. So congratulations to you. Your $5 Dunkin' Donuts gift card is in the mail. Keep an eye on that.
15% off Albertsons gift card.
Yeah. She lives in Florida, right? In Tampa or Orlando? One of those?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I don't know what they have around there.
So. They have Publix, I think.
You can use Target everywhere.
Yeah, I used to live in Florida, so I think it's Publix.
The next one is I
want to throw something about Deonna
Dream Match of the Year award.
Let me throw some. I totally took that moment away from you. I wanted to throw this about Deonna real quick. Is that some people didn't believe she should have been Wrestler of the Year. Like, she was the hottest wrestler in the company, in my opinion. She was the only one that really had steam. Moose was hot, but it was character work. Like Deonna, from top to bottom, was the only wrestler that was hot throughout the year. Get back into the award. My bad. I'm sorry. I took your moment.
Totally
What's
agree.
the name of this award?
Just to kind of add on that, not to go on too much of a tangent here, but what Moose is doing, Moose is building his character to a place where it's looking like, for the first time in a long time, once Moose gets that title, Impact is going to have a champion that can be held up against champions on other brands and be like, yo, look at this guy, right? But Deonna Purrazzo kind of already is that. And again, she's brought buzz. Like, people who knew her from WWE, knew her from NXT, knew her from the Indies, wherever, they all want to see what she's doing. And she's doing that on Impact Wrestling. So, listen, you can't, don't front on what you see. She's doing her thing. Give her credit. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Right. All right. So now the Josh Matthews Dream Match of the Year award, because everything's a dream match with Josh Matthews.
Oh yeah.
And
Crazy Steve versus.
Yeah, Crazy Steve versus Rich Swann.
Yeah.
My first nominee is going to be Taya versus Jordynne Grace from Bash at the Brewery 2. If you are an Impact Plus subscriber, or you could probably find it online, to me, this match is beyond entertaining, super phenomenal, and they put it on, I think, 2 days before Hard to Kill. Amazing match. Go check it out.
All right, so this is in no particular order. Deonna Purrazzo versus Jordynne Grace Iron Woman match. So this match right here was was legendary. I didn't know that the Knockouts never had an Iron Woman match before. I could have swore that had happened, but I think I was thinking of Jade versus Rosemary in the last Knockout standing. So I think that's what I was thinking about. But I was actually very shocked that they had never done this before. And that match definitely, it was a rematch. Rematches aren't always what the first match is, but this one, really, really, truly delivered, one of a kind, and just further elevated Deonna.
Nice. My next nominee is going to be the Deaners versus the North from the Diener compound. This was a cinematic style match that was done, and I thought it was just really well done. It was entertaining. I think it was actually it was Cody Diener and like random cousins against the North.
Well, he had one partner, really one main partner, but
yeah, I didn't think that I never thought that Cody Diener was going to win the match, but it still was a good match. It was a good match. I enjoyed it. It's from some episode of Impact Wrestling. Look it up. Good match of the year candidate.
All right. The next one I'm thinking of is EC3 versus Moose from Slammiversary. We're talking cinematic match. This is obviously another cinematic one. Now, listen, EC3 came to the company in a return. Wasn't what we had hoped it was going to be. It wasn't what we thought it was going to be. I think we knew once he showed up that this was short term. Who knows if we'll ever see him back again. This match was kind of done to further elevate Moose. And, it had a lot of buzz, though. It was really, really well done. The storyline leading up to it was pretty good. I would have got it, done away with the dong dong background music every time EC3 was talking. But aside from that, the match was a lot of fun, and it got to play into some of that EC3 stuff that he's been doing on his own, and I believe was the inspiration for Raw Underground that they stole that from him. But that was a lot of fun and one of the best matches of the show.
My next nominee is going to be the North versus Willie Mack from Hard to Kill. This was a phenomenal match. Oh my goodness. Storyline going into it, you had Rich Swann and Willie Mack as a tag team, and they were kind of teasing a bit of a breakup angle between those two guys, but Rich Swann ended up getting hurt for real at the Bash at the Brewery 2, and Willie Mack had to wrestle this match all by himself. And listen, if you ever had any question about how good the North is, this was a phenomenal match. Go back and watch this match and tell me that you don't think there's some spots where Willie Mack is going to pull off the win against the tag team on his own. That match was phenomenal. Absolute candidate for the Match of the Year award.
All right, so the next one, and the reason I said no particular order was because it's Deonna Purrazzo versus Jordynne Grace from Slammiversary. So that happened before the Iron Woman match. This was the absolute show stealer of Slammiversary. That's what got a lot of us thinking when Bound for Glory came, that, Kylie and Deonna were going to steal the show. But these two women really stole the show on a pay-per-view that was pretty good and really had probably the most buzz of any Impact pay-per-view in a really, really long time. But they truly held their own. And that was a pay-per-view where most people felt it delivered. Some people thought it under-delivered. Some people had, various opinions on some of the matches, but this was the one that everyone was like, wow, these two ladies killed it. And Jordynne Grace, even though she lost both of these matches, looked really, really good in defeat.
Totally agree. I always say that's the sign of a great match to me. If you can have a match where you have a clean finish, a clean winner, a clean loser, but both people come out looking better afterwards, to me, that is grade A stewed to perfection matchmaking. That is awesome. And that's exactly what this was right here. All right. And the last nominee is Eddie Edwards versus Ace Austin versus Trey Miguel versus Rich Swann versus Eric Young from Slammiversary for the Impact Wrestling World Championship. This is the match that actually won Match of the Year on Impact Wrestling's awards. And so, you see, it was a high quality match. Not gonna lie. That was actually a worthy main event. I think because that pay-per-view was sold on surprises, it was a little disappointing to me that the surprise entries were Rich Swann and Eric Young, but the match itself in a vacuum was excellent. It really was. Yeah. All right. And the winner is Deonna Purrazzo versus Jordynne Grace from Slammiversary. Woo! Woo!
Woohoo!
Woo!
Yay!
Yana, you are doubling up. You're trying to send me to the poorhouse, kid. Trying to send me to the poorhouse. Now I got to send you 2 Dunkin' Donuts gift cards for $5 each. And just, keep your eye on the mail. That'll be out express. They're messing with the mail. I don't know if you keep an eye on the news or whatever. The mail's acting funny, but just it's coming. It's coming. All right. Straight from the Impact Lounge. All right. All right. So this award took some thinking and some brainstorming. The next award is the Rising Star Award. And the first nominee for the Rising Star Award is actually going to a tag team act of Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. Listen, Kiera Hogan has been, one of, if not the most improved talent in Impact Wrestling this year. And she's showing it more and more each and every week. Her character has just really blossomed since Tasha Steelz became a part of that act. And Tasha Steelz, Tasha Steelz is a scene stealer. Whenever she's in any type of backstage segment or even in the ring, you can't not see her and you can't forget whatever it is that she does. She's awesome. She's phenomenal. And she's definitely a rising star.
I think it should be renamed to the Tommy Dreamer Rising Star Award.
Yeah. He still hasn't quite realized his potential.
Yeah, still trying to reach his peak. Hopefully they feature him more on the show. So my nominee is going to be Rohit Raju, one of my favorite wrestlers. He has shown the most character development in 2020. He won the Global Forged, where they say he was a former Gut Check winner. Right. He kind of came to the company, no real direction. Then they threw him in a Desi Hit Squad. It seemed cool, but that also had no direction. They never really won a whole lot. He had a bunch of different partners, and he managed to really shine through all this and just be the star of that group. And then he breaks away from him, and his character, even though he lost a whole lot, which I didn't really like, his character just kept improving. He was showing how well he can talk on the microphone, which he didn't get to show that for a really long time. I've always known he had that ability. He knew he had that ability and couldn't wait to do it. So he, every time he does promos and segments and interviews, always believable, always good. Won the X Division Championship, and I think that's about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, my next nominee for the Rising Star Award is going to be Chris Bay. Chris Bay is somebody who has put on standout matches since he's been on Impact Wrestling. He's very charismatic. You always notice him. Again, similar to Tasha Steelz, when he's on the screen, you notice what he's doing, whether he's finessing something. He's always finessing something, but it always stands out. It's always memorable what it is that he's doing. He's got a great, sneaky heel character, and I love it. Here's one of the biggest reasons why Chris Bay is my nominee here, is because people who don't talk about Impact Wrestling talk about Chris Bay and what he's doing in Impact Wrestling. Chris Bay is adding a level of visibility to Impact Wrestling. And honestly, if there was one characteristic or qualification that Impact needs to look for in its stars going forward, it's people who can raise the profile of the brand. And Chris Bay is doing that. He had a main event match of an Impact Plus special with Rich Swann, and Chris Bay is looking like somebody that the company is going to build around going forward. So he is absolutely a nominee for the Rising Star Award.
All right, so the last nominee, some of you guys may not agree with this one. He's a little older of a wrestler, but it's someone that we're both a big fan of, and that is Brian Myers. He shows a lot of personality that we probably didn't really know that he had previously. We feel that he could be a future world champion in the company. Will they pull that trigger? I don't know. But we do feel he has that potential. Everything that he has done for us, we found really, really engaging. He's not getting pushed too hard, which is the nice thing. Right. You see a lot of people come from WWE and the company is like, oh, let's put this jetpack on your back and let's shoot you straight to the top. Obviously, you're not going to do that with him because he wasn't necessarily a big successful wrestler over there. Yeah, he won some titles, but everyone wins titles in that company. But he had the big losing streaks and everything. So, obviously he's not really someone you're just going to push right away. But he's had his fair share of wins and losses. But it just feels really, really natural, really, really organic. And I think he is showing the makings of being a top heel in the future.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. All right, and the winner is
Hey.
the ultimate finesser, dashing Chris Bay. Chris Bay, keep an eye on your mail, buddy. Keep an eye on your P.O. box, wherever you're at. There is a $5 Dunkin' Donuts gift card coming your way.
Yeah.
From the Impact Lounge. All right. Keep an eye out there. Keep an eye out there.
Oh,
You'll
yeah.
have your mailing address. That doesn't matter. It's coming. All right. The next award we're giving out is for the moment of the year. Okay. It's self-explanatory. And the first nominee is going to be the Good Brothers signing with Impact Wrestling. They basically put up the promo on midnight of the day of Slammiversary, announcing that they were signing with Impact Wrestling, and that kind of set off what was to be kind of a signature event of the year.
All right. The moment I've got is EC3 at the end of Slammiversary. You mentioned earlier with Slammiversary, you know, some of the disappointments that came from it. With pretty much everyone who appeared at the show, there was rumors of who was going to show up. There was no one that showed up. We're like, oh my God, the world was shocked. That just didn't happen. We had a pretty good idea of everyone who was going to show up. EC3, there was some rumors about it, and then the show seems to be going off air. You know, people thought he was going to answer or appear at the Moose match. The show appears to be going off air. We're like, okay, we're not getting EC3, and then it shows his little vignette, which was a really good way to end the show, and it got people very excited. Now, granted, what came after it, with the exception of that good match with Moose, we were expecting a lot more. That didn't happen, but that moment there where we thought EC3 was coming home and we were going to get him back, that was a really fun moment.
Yeah, definitely. That was the perfect way to cap off that show. And my next nominee is going to be Eric Young's debut at Slammiversary. Now, as I mentioned, that was a bit of a disappointing surprise for a show that promised many, many surprises, and that one felt like a bit of a disappointment. But looking back here, if you want to talk about the impact that Eric Young had since coming back, he's done a lot of press. He's had a run as the world champion. He did a great job playing the villain for Rich Swann's title win, which is moving us forward. And he's doing great work for the company now. He's definitely been an asset to the show since his return to the company. So EY's return at Slammiversary deserves to be considered for moment of the year.
All right, the next one is going to be something that we've been seeing on TV a lot lately, and it was Kenny Omega appearing on Impact Wrestling. Have they been beating this dead horse with Kenny Omega? Yes. And, they announced the other day that he's going to show up on the next episode of Impact with the Good Brothers. The Good Brothers are already signed to Impact. They're already there, but whatever. I really think by the time that episode rolls around, the ratings are probably going to go back to normal, the viewership. I think the spike is kind of behind us, unfortunately. But you can't discount the momentum that announcement or his appearance brought. A lot of people were disappointed with it. I wasn't disappointed with it. I thought it was a lot of fun, even though he talked for like 10 minutes about nothing. At the same time, I was on the edge of my seat with everything he said because it was just so interesting and fascinating. Yeah. Like I couldn't believe he was there. And whether it's Impact or TNA, it wasn't a brand that you heard mentioned on other people's other wrestling companies. It was just always the island of misfit toys. It was always the redheaded stepchild. Impact was always on its own island doing its own thing, not really acknowledged across the board. And that was the fallout from Don Callis on Dynamite. And then obviously you look at the viewership numbers, the ratings, the social media. I mean, the numbers were all through the roof. And that's after the Slammiversary buzz where we're thinking, okay, that's going to be the biggest buzz generator of the year. And all of a sudden this happened. So while I do think a lot of the ratings are going to go back to normal, I think there still is a lot more buzz around Impact. And it's becoming relevant again in the eyes of people who didn't think it was relevant before.
Yes. In the interest of time, guys, I'm going to skip ahead here just a little bit. Okay. So our next two nominees are Tessa Blanchard winning the world title, regardless of what happened before or after Impact took a big swing on a history-making moment, and unfortunately, Tessa's demons came back to haunt the entire company and not just herself. And so it didn't have the impact that it was supposed to, no pun intended. But that definitely deserves candidacy for Moment of the Year. Eddie Edwards winning the world title at Slammiversary. That was another great moment to a big-time main event, and it felt like it was bringing stability to the Impact title at a time when that's what it needed more than anything. So Eddie winning the title at Slammiversary is another candidate for Impact Wrestling Moment of the Year. And our final nomination goes to Rich Swann winning the Impact World Championship at Bound for Glory. That was a great story, long-term storytelling. They nursed that ankle, leg, whatever it was, injury as much as they could. And then Rich Swann and EY went out there and put on a heck of a match. And we got the victorious babyface at the end. It really was a great moment. But the winner is Kenny Omega appearing on Impact Wrestling for all the reasons BQ mentioned. That was our selection for Moment of the Year. So Kenny Omega and the Invisible Hand Don Callis, keep an eye on your mailbox, okay? There is a $5 Dunkin' Donuts and or Target gift card coming your way from the Impact Lounge, okay? Bye on that.
All right, so we're going to get into, to wrap up this show, it's going to be shorter than usual. We're going to get into about 3 questions from YouTube from the last time we did a Cool Factor episode. So it's been a couple weeks. We took a break last week. So the first one is Colby F asked, do you guys have any clue what happened to the Aces and Eights angle they teased? That could be huge for Impact if done right. So I will come out. I'll answer that. Aces and Eights was never coming back. This was, they were teasing Aces and Eights and Team Canada, and Don Callis even teased what's his name from in WWE, that was ECW for a long time.
Oh,
Brock Lesnar's guy, Roman Reigns guy. What? Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman. Yes, Paul
I was
Heyman.
like, why am I forgetting his name? So he didn't tease, Paul Heyman. Some people maybe thought it was Joey Styles. Like, so they tease a lot of things to try to throw you off the scent. And this isn't just me speculating, like this is from conversation I've had, so I know it was just done to throw people off the scent. Like there was never Aces and Eights. Yes, when they were going to do the TNA show, Mr. Anderson and D'Lo were supposed to wrestle on that TNA show at WrestleCon, yes. But that was, from what I'm understanding, that was the extent. I will say though that I can understand during the Slammiversary build actually teasing a few things. But the way they did it, I didn't really care for it, because when you're teasing D'Lo Brown, like, hey, trying to get the guys back together, and he's sitting there and he's, and then they don't even show up, that makes him look foolish, So there were a few things I didn't really like how they teased them, but it's whatever. But there was never going to be Aces and Eights. The company's too small at this point for a big faction like Aces and Eights. I said it last episode that, or I think my B-side podcast, that there's more members in AEW's Dark Order than the entire X division in Impact. Like it's just a smaller roster. You probably can't get away with factions at this point. It just, it would be very difficult to do. You got, even though I answered the question, do you have any like comments on about?
I mean, listen, I like the tease. I thought that all the teasing was good because it created buzz for the show. But I'm not a fan of going backwards. I like Moose bringing back the TNA title. I think that TNA title should be their mid-card or secondary title, and I think they should do away with the X Division title. The X Division was a great moment in time, but it's just not a thing anymore, man. Everybody does flippy wrestling, and so the X Division is not really a thing anymore. It doesn't really have a place. So I think that the TNA title should be their secondary title, and the X Division go away. So just in general, I'm not a fan of going backwards. So no, I don't have any interest in seeing the Ace and Eights come back. I'd love to see Bully Ray come do another run, because his work was phenomenal when he did Aces and Eights. But other than that, no, I'm good.
I agree with what you're saying. the X division, even though they want to present it as a mid card title, it's not. It still feels to me like a lower card title. And even though everyone's doing the X division style, not everyone on the Impact roster wrestles the X division style. And they try to get away with, AC Romero and these guys, like he's not an X division wrestler. I know, because once upon a time Samoa Joe had the title and Abyss had the title, that we think we can just throw anyone of any shape or size into that division, but it just doesn't work in my opinion. And there's a lot of people in the middle of the card fighting for nothing. I've said this before, and that's why the Moose title is actually good for him to carry that TNA title, because he was a guy just sitting there fighting for nothing for years.
Right.
So I would like to see them do away with it as well, in all honesty. Next question, like I said, we're just going to get into 3. My phone is freezing up on me here. Give me a second. Anything you want to talk about while I'm trying to figure this out?
Man, listen, man. Like I mean, again, with the X Division stuff, just dragging us out a little bit here. I mean, like, listen, I totally agree. I think that there could be great life in having that TNA title as the mid card title. I mean, again, it's called the Total Nonstop Action Championship, and I mean, I think it pays homage to the origins of the company, and it's a beautiful looking title. And I mean, what else do you need? What other reasoning do you need? It's a title for people to fight for, But again, the problem with the X division is that it implies that it's for something in particular, and that doesn't, you know what I mean? They've struggled so much with defining what that even is. So,
Right.
Again, I've done rants on why the X division can go. I can do another one, but I'm just saying.
And it would be one thing if these guys, Rohit and all these dudes, were wrestling all these other guys defending the title, but in all actuality, the X division has about 4 guys in it, 3 or 4. They tried to throw Jordan Grace in there at one point. So, the division is just too shallow. Yeah. And in a world where that many people are wrestling the X division style, it's kind of mind boggling that they don't have enough X division style wrestlers. That's insane. I mean, look at the Super X Cup. I mean, they had to bring in outside talents that we ain't heard of. They had to throw Suicide in there. They had to throw Crazy Steve in there. That tells you everything you need to know.
The big
so next question comes from Richard Cartilage. Back when Ro and Adam were doing this podcast, he used to send a lot of questions, and I remember. He said, "Do you guys think Kenny Omega as Impact champion is a good or a bad thing?" I'm gonna take it to you on that.
That's a good one. Okay, so Kenny Omega as Impact champ, is that a good thing or a bad thing? It can be a good thing. It can be a good thing. It can be a good thing if there is a plan for him to eventually drop that title to someone, who is going to raise the profile of that title. Kenny Omega having that title is going to raise the profile of that title. And listen, I think you got to give these guys credit. This is an opportunity to see something that we've never seen before. Like, let's say Kenny Omega beats Rich Swann for that title, and let's say Kenny Omega shows up to 2 or 3 Impact pay-per-views to defend that title. That's never been done before, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's more than like a cheap little angle. And then let's say he's bringing that title to AEW and talking about it on AEW, like, why this title is so great and prestigious. That raises the profile of that title. And let's say he has some Impact people come to try and take that title from him on AEW. So it could potentially be great for the title. So yeah, I mean, I'm in favor of it. Let's do something new.
Yeah. The reason I made the comment earlier about viewership the new numbers probably going back to normal here in a couple of weeks is because we everything with Kenny is just him talking. It's backstage. Like if he were to actually wrestle on Impact, which that's not going to happen, at least not before the pay-per-view, then the numbers would probably go up at that point too, because he's actually going to have a match. But right now it's vignette shit that you can watch on YouTube. You can watch on, Impact Plus.
My kids are all.
It's something you can watch on Twitter. You know, you're not missing anything if you don't watch this. So, would Impact put the title on him? Absolutely, absolutely, they would do it. Even if it meant burying Rich Swann, which I'm not saying it would bury him, but I mean at
That
any
wouldn't be a
cost.
burial. There's no burial in losing to somebody who people consider the best wrestler in the world. People
Yeah,
use that term burial too much, but we're not going to get into that right now.
right. My point was, I was just saying hypothetically, they would do anything to put the title on him if they could. I'm sure. Okay, and then one more here. Aaron Comer, do you think Impact will expand into doing more original programming on Axis? I didn't think so, but I read an article at Yahoo Finance about Anthem's esports division partnering with esports consulting firm to set up production studio in LA to make live original programming, and made me wonder if Anthem might do the same to Impact, especially since there were rumors last year of Impact setting up an NXT-like studio show. I forgot all about that. I don't know if you remember, there was rumors that they were going to do some like a studio show, and that was before. I don't know if it was going to be the way not NXT, but NWA does theirs. I don't really know, but
Yeah.
I remember there were some rumors about them trying to do some kind of second show,
Yeah.
and you know, who knows if that comes to fruition. Do I think they're going to expand with more original programming? Absolutely not. They have a platform right now on YouTube and Impact Plus to do that, and they don't. So I have a hard time, and that's a lot easier creating content for that than it would a television program. You know, so I don't see any signs of the way they operate of them doing that. But you know, I guess anything can happen.
Yeah, I don't see Impact doing an extra studio show. I mean, I don't know. I just think like you got to get the first thing right, right? You know what I mean? Like before you are trying to bounce your fans to another studio show, you know, get your fans interested in talking about the show, your main show, right? Make sure the main thing stays the main thing, right? And so now if Anthem has an esports division, right? We're not talking about an Impact show. It would make sense to have Impact talent, you know, guest star on that show, you know, people who play video games come in and talk about that, because that in itself will bounce some viewers over. But I don't know, an Impact Wrestling esports show doesn't really make sense. But I mean, I could see them using that talent to kind of bring some viewership over, because if there's one thing we know about wrestling fans is that they're going to follow their wrestlers to other platforms. So, you know, I can see them being used in that way. But as far as a studio show, I don't, you know, I don't know. I don't see it right now.
Yeah, if you think of you know, I know AEW is doing a second show soon, and you even think of when Raw went to SmackDown and Nitro went to whatever their other show was. I don't remember exactly what the name was.
Thunder.
It was because there was demand for it.
Demand,
I
yes.
don't know that there's demand for that right now. I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm just saying I don't know if there's demand for additional programming right now like that. They do a pretty good job with doing the Impact Plus show a month, and that's getting a lot better. I think that's the extent of them doing any kind of secondary programming at this point. So
totally agree.
But that's gonna do it for us. Shoot your questions to us in this in the comments here on YouTube, and we'll get into some more more questions and comments next week when we talk about the next episode of Impact. They've announced a couple matches already so far. You know, we'll see how they do with the first episode of the year. So like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, and that is all. Next week, we're going to be getting into some Impact Wrestling predictions for 2021. So we probably won't recap next week's show a whole hell of a lot. We'll probably get into a little more of predictions of what we think is going to happen. We think that'll be a little more fun, a little more enjoyable for you guys.
Yes. So, thank you guys for all your engagement, and Happy New Year to everybody. We'll see you next week.
All right. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.